big news around Auburn, and head coach Gus Malzahn was fired. What were your kind of initial thoughts when that firing happened?
Nothing kind of surprised me. When you're in the SEC, everything is always measured at high standards. Auburn has high standards, and they expect to compete each year in and out, year in and year out, to try to go to the SEC West and compete in the SEC championship game. That's your first goal, and then after that is to get to the playoffs. And last year was tough. I was kind of shocked a little bit that they had let Gus go, after a COVID year, and with so much time still remaining on his contract. But still, at the same time, though, it didn't shock me because you can kind of hear the noise from a year before and everything. And so I think it kind of worked out for him still at the end of the day. And no coach wants to be fired. Every coach wants that opportunity to finish. But, in his case, he got off a few months and then getting a great job in Central Florida. And then, we end up getting a guy like Bryan Harsin. We bring him in and, he kind of fits that old school Auburn way. That tough mentality where we're going to run the football, play great defense. And, during the Gus area, it's a fast-paced offense, what I call NASCAR offense, where everything's coming at you so fast. But I think you're going to see a different style offense with Coach Harsin this year. It's going to look more of the old school type of way of how Auburn used to play football and, play action pass and, getting after the quarterback and, and being strong and physical. So, we'll see how everything transpires and everything. But I think, so far, I'm hearing all the right things and seeing all the right things. So we'll see what transpires as he continues to move forward.
Yeah, I really liked that Bryan, Harsin signing coming from Boise State. When there was like coaching searches and everything like that, was he the guy you were kind of hoping Auburn would get, or was there anybody in particular you were kind of wanting them to get as their next head coach?
Well, once once they let Gus go, it kind of opened the floodgates up because the one thing is, it happened a little later than normal. And, once Gus was fired, after the season and everything, I think Auburn, they did the right thing by taking their time and finding their next coach. They didn't just rush right into a decision and try to make a decision within a week or two. And so it goes to show you that they didn't really have anyone lined up at the time because I think they was really trying to see what was going to happen with Auburn towards the end of the year. And once they kind of feel like, okay, things wasn't up to what they wanted. And I think that's when they started to say, we want to go elsewhere. And, to make that move, I think they took their time and everything. And I think, Alan Green being a director, I think, they got in the room and they sat down, they interviewed a lot of guys. And I think Bryan was the guy that fit what they wanted to do. And anytime you have an athletic director that comes in, this is his first big hire. Bruce Pearl was already here. Gus was already here. So this is his first big hire. And then he hired a new women's basketball coach. So, this is comes with the territory, man. I just think to get Bryan Harsin away from Boise State, where he played college ball at, where he's coached at for many years, and then to pull him away from that area to Auburn, I thought was a big get because there's not many really solid coaches out there at that level. And, Bryan is one of those young, solid coaches.
Yeah, I thought Harsin was a terrific hire, and I was really surprised he actually left, his alma mater and Boise State. And the only other person, in my opinion, that was, towards the top of the list was Bill Clark from UAB. I'm a big Marshall fan, so,
Yeah.
Conference USA, I've seen, UABs, pretty much come from nothing and then built their way up to the best team in their conference for years. I thought that would have been, a really nice hire. It's, a guy, not too far away from Auburn. He's done a great job with UAB. And, speaking of Auburn, lots of Auburn fans kind of have mixed feelings about him. But what are your kind of thoughts on Auburn starting quarterback Bo Nix?
Well, for Bo, this is his third year, pretty much third offense. Even though Gus was there, they kind of kept a lot of things similar, even though they changed coordinators. But it's his third offense. It's kind of like a new start for him. With a new head coach and everything. So the biggest part for Bo was to buy into this new system and to buy and adjust and accept the changes. And I think he's done that so far. And I think they could have an opportunity for him to take a step forward this year. There's things that, he can get better at, stand in the pocket a little bit more and kind of knowing when that clock goes off in your head, when to move, but not to move too early. So I think, it's still a learning experience for him. He's still learning the game because all his time since high school and then his first 2 years in college, everything has been in shotgun. Where this year he's going to do a lot more under the center, and so he'll be moved around a little bit more. He won't just be in the shotgun formation. So I think it gives him an opportunity to utilize his abilities a little bit better because you talk about with a strong run game that Auburn has with Tank Bisbee and Deshaun Showers, and I mean with Sean Showers, and now you talk about you can do play action off of that. You know, when you're under the center, you're going for a handoff, and then you do play action off of it to the linebackers and the defensive line. It all looks the same. And now that gives Bo an opportunity to do what he does best is his athleticism of getting outside the pocket and making throws on the run instead of having to escape from the pocket when he's in gun and he gets caught with 15-yard losses sometimes. And so I think this help keeps the offense on schedule. I think it helps keeps him on schedule. And I think it gives him an opportunity to be more successful because people can't pinpoint his set points as far as like where he's going to be at within the pocket.
Yeah, you watch Bo Nix and you see, so much potential, but at the same time, like you mentioned, different coordinators, regardless, how good of a quarterback is, if you have different quarterback coaches or coordinators, a lot of them, that's going to really mess up your playing style at times. And also, you look at Auburn's, offensive line, it's kind of tend to struggle at some of the past year or two. I feel like once they get a better offensive line, I feel like Nix has potential to be one of the better quarterbacks in the league and really show his full potential that we might not have seen yet.
Well, yeah, that's the main thing. Our offensive line last year, it was kind of up and down. Guys in and out with injuries and different things. But I think this season, most of our offensive line are seniors. And so that's experience that you can't teach. And so I think that pays dividends. I think that gives Auburn an edge when you have a strong offensive line full of seniors and then you have a strong run game behind your quarterback. It gives your quarterback an opportunity to have success. Now, the main thing about that is can the offensive line stay consistent? Can they continually to get better and better? And can they build that chemistry? Because it's not one guy, it's five guys got to be working together on all plays. And they have to be thinking alike. So, I think that's what it all comes down to is can they build that wall in front of Bo that gives him the opportunity to get from his first, second, into his third progressions? And can they come off the ball and get good push against the defensive lines that we face in the SEC to get open holes for Tank and Showers? So, there's room for growth, but anytime that you can put together five senior offensive linemen and then you have Nick Brahms, who's one of the best, centers in all of college football, he's on one of the watch lists as a center. So, that's big for the quarterback because now he can point out all the different pass protections and the different mics and call out the different 5-0 calls when there's 5D linemen and telling everyone who's got who and making the right zone checks for the run game. So anytime you have a veteran center, man, it helps your offense and it helps your quarterback so much. And the thing I would say that Auburn, the biggest thing for us to see this year is what do we do with a young receiving core? There's talent there. You have Kobe Hudson, you have Elijah Cannon, you got Javarius Johnson, you got a kid named Malcolm, and then you got Demetrius Robertson that just came over from Georgia, the transfer from Georgia. He's probably our oldest receiver besides Shedrick Jackson. So we have a young receiving core, not a lot of experience, but talented. And how fast can these guys come of age once the season starts?
Yeah, this upcoming season for Auburn is going to be very, very interesting, with a whole new coaching staff. And, last year it was just very difficult for, all the teams with coronavirus and everything. It was a very difficult year to play. So what would you say is your record prediction for the 2021 Auburn season?
Yeah, it's, like you said, it's kind of tough, to predict. It's kind of hard for me to predict that because I'm a radio analyst for Auburn. So, I can't give a set number. But I would say this, though, looking at this football team in the spring, they have beefed up more. I think we've gotten bigger. I think we've gotten stronger over the summer. And then when you think about what we've added, we get Deshaun Miller, Drayshawn Miller, the corner from West Virginia to transfer. That adds depth to our secondary. Well, you already have Smoke Monday. Then you have McCurry. That's a guy that's probably one of the elite corners in the SEC this year. And then, on the opposite side of him, you have Jalen Simpson and Drayshawn Miller competing for that second corner position. So I think that does a lot when you have depth at that position, especially in a pass-happy league. That does a lot defensively. Now you talk about linebackers, Owen Papo and McLean. I think two of the better linebackers in all SEC, probably the best tandem in the SEC right now. And not being biased, but I just think that's true. And then you look at our defensive line, I think we have, we can add a little bit more depth there. Of course, we're going from a 4-3 to a 3-4 defense, so add a little bit more depth there will help us out because you need pluggers, you need run stoppers, and then you need those guys on the edge that can rush the passer, and Derek Hall and Kobe Wooten and those guys that can get after the passer. So, I like this team. I do. I like this team. It's just about we play one of the toughest schedules in all of college football this year. But how fast can this team gel together? And I think the biggest thing is going to be that Penn State game. I think it's the third game of the season, and everything. So I just feel like that can be a game that can either spring us forward faster than we think, just because the hostile environment that we'll be in.